Welcome into the season preview, looking ahead at the 2024 cross-country campaign for Carlow here on the Carlow Sports Network. Sean Meyers joined by Ashley Soske, the second-year head coach for cross-country. First off, before we ask the questions, how's everything been with you?
Fantastic.
Good to hear. I'm sure there's a lot. I'm doing great as well. I'm sure there's a lot of excitement heading into the season for both the men and women. Let's look back at last year, though. Let's start with the men. How did you evaluate the performance?
I mean, the men were fantastic. You may or may not know, I had some men from the basketball team come out and join the cross country team with, wasn't sure what the expectations were going to be, as basketball players are generally not distance runners, but they were positive. They came to practice, and ultimately they did win third place as a team in one of our meets, which was fantastic and unexpected and made me very proud.
So, who are you leaning upon this year on the men's side, and what are the expectations?
So Quincy Fana, he is a rising junior. He came out to the team kind of mid-season on a whim, and he has been training all summer. He's been healthy, and my sense is that he will definitely be one of our top male runners for the season.
And so, building upon that, what have you established for goals that he can try to achieve?
So top 10, definitely in some of the invitationals. He's been close the last year, and he has some of his own goals as well, specific to some runners that we see, and the same meets over and over again, like wanting to be a certain person that he always comes close to. So he has some of his own very specific personal goals, and I think he's trying to get that 5K time down under 19 minutes.
Let's switch to the women's side. Looking back at a year ago, how did the performance align with the expectations you had?
I mean, my girls were fantastic. We had four female runners, need five for a team score. My sense is that had we had a full team, we would have likely placed in every single meet. I have two very strong rising junior female runners, Lacey Schwerian and Ella Cloak, who in every single meet made the top 10 female runners. So with the addition of two new female runners, we do have a full team this year on the women's side. And my expectation is that we will likely place in the top three in the majority of the meets we have.
That's great news. Going back to that, the fact that you did have such a small roster, how challenging is that for you and for the athletes?
It's challenging in that we always want that team score, but it's great in that we are small, close, and very cohesive and very collaborative. It's really important for me to keep my runners running, right? I never want to get to a situation where I'm overtraining and people end up hating the sport. So we have a lot of fun, and I think that's one of the positives of having a team that's small, is that we all know each other and know each other well.
What objectives are established for the women this year?
Placing in at least five of our meets. So we currently have eight meets on the roster. So placing in five, that's a top three placement. That is my goal for the girls.
So let's just look generally, men, women, both. How do you try to focus on improvement for what they can do to get better throughout the off season?
So in the off season, we focus on a lot of hill work because, as you know, we're in Western Pennsylvania and there are a lot of hills. So our runners, our seasoned runners, they can all run the distance. I'm confident of that. But adding some more hill repeats into the summer workout, also heat acclimatization. Our meets are generally very hot.
That is
Hot.
very, very difficult to
Yes,
deal
very
with. I
difficult.
can speak to that. In season, how does the training differ?
In season, we added some more longer runs and more group runs as well. So in the summer, our team is scattered throughout Pennsylvania and different states as well. So, a lot of runs alone. During the season, it's more collaborative, cohesive. We run together as a group. I run with the runners. I also try to take them to different parts of the city because a lot of the runners aren't from Pittsburgh. So we do a run to the point and back, and we run the Liberty Bridge up McCardle, and so just showing them different parts of the city.
What's notable about this year's schedule?
This year's schedule, we have a few more meets than we had last semester, I'm sorry, last year. And um, notable, we have our meets within our conference, and we have a few additional meets that we didn't have last year as well. So we're traveling to West Virginia for a meet. Last year we went up to Buffalo. Buffalo's out this year. So some different geographic locations, again, making me think we're going to see some more hills going into West Virginia. So
Lastly, what's your favorite part of coaching here at Carlow University?
My favorite part is that I can be a full-time faculty member and also a head coach, the two things I love more than anything, coaching and teaching. So the students are fantastic. And as a faculty member, I'm on campus all the time. So it just all gels really well for me.
Well, glad we're able to talk about this season. I appreciate your time. That's Ashley Soske looking at the cross country season here on Season Preview. We roll along here on the season preview for Carlow Cross Country, looking ahead at the 2024 season. I'm now joined by Cloak, a junior on the team. And first off, good to talk to you again. How's everything going with you?
Pretty good, yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of excitement as you're just about ready to get this season underway. But before we look at this upcoming season, how did you evaluate how you performed at cross country a year ago?
Last year I thought it was pretty good. It was actually my first year ever running cross country, so I was pretty happy with my performance, and I'm hoping to kind of improve on it this year. So
I
we'll
know,
see.
I know you said you're new to cross country, but overall also competing in track and field. I'm sure the college competition is a lot different than what you did in high
Yes,
school. So
for sure.
how have you kind of navigated that transition?
It was definitely a tough transition going in, just figuring everything out with different like training styles and stuff like that. But it was really like kind of taking like my self-care into my own hands, making sure I was fueling right and recovering properly. That I think really has made the transition a lot easier.
Well, that plays into the next question about how your workouts differ in season as opposed to during the off season. So how much of a contrast is there?
I would say during the off season, it's kind of just building a base for the regular season. You're running like maybe 20, 25 miles per week. In season, that mileage might drop a little, and you're focusing more on speed work, trying to get a little faster now that you have that aerobic base.
Let's talk about the goals for this upcoming season. What do you have for yourself and for the team collectively?
I'm really hoping now that we have enough people to score, I'm hoping we could place as a team at conference or USCAA, something like that. And individually, I would love to place like in the top 15 at our conference meet.
What event are you most anticipating?
I would probably say our conference meet. There's always really good competition there, and it's really like nice to be against people that are really pushing you.
Let's talk about your head coach for cross country, Ashley Soske. What are her best qualities?
I would say she's just really enthusiastic. You know, she really cares about the sport.
What do you enjoy most about cross country?
I would have to say the atmosphere. I think it's very different from track. It's more relaxed, and I think it's very like encouraging and welcoming, and I always just have a fun time.
Is there
Cross
any
country.
difference between the two in terms of what ideal conditions are? Is it like a little bit cooler is better for cross country?
I mean, I always say my perfect running weather is like 65 degrees and sunny. So that doesn't really change for me too
Gotcha.
much, but yeah.
Gotcha. Lastly, what do you think is going to be special or unique about your team this year?
I think we're a really nice group of girls. We're all friends. We all get along really well. So I think it'll be really fun to just kind of see where the season takes us. Yeah.
Hopefully, a great season upcoming. Ella,
Hopefully,
thank you so
yeah.
much for
Thank
doing this
you.
again. That is Ella Cloak, a junior here on the season preview. We continue the season preview for Carlow Cross Country. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by Quincy Fana, a junior for the Celtics. And first off, how's everything going with you?
It's been going great. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. I'm sure you're excited, as is everyone, for another school year to start and another athletic year to start as well. But let's look back at a year ago, your first year with this cross country team. How did you evaluate your performance?
Yeah, so I had just came onto the team and I was kind of approached super suddenly to join the team, and I was very enthusiastic to join. So upon joining, my expectations honestly for myself were kind of low just because I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I had friends that run cross country. I'd reached out to them to ask them kind of like their insight and input. And then it turns out the first race I run, I don't do really too bad. So throughout the season, the bar would still kind of be a little low, but it'd get a little higher and higher and higher as the season would go on, and I got more comfortable running. So it was very, very interesting and very fun to watch myself grow and to know that I had a whole team behind me that supported me too.
Sounds like a pretty solid base to build off of heading into this year. What did you try to focus on throughout the offseason to get better?
Throughout the off season, I focus a lot on being consistent. I know that one of the hardest things I feel like for any sport and a lot of athletes is remaining consistent. I did experience, a little hardships through injuries throughout the summer, just problems like, relative like joint problems and stuff like that. But we power through it. So I focused a lot on, really taking care of my body, but remaining consistent, getting into the gym even on the cold days, sometimes going outside just to get in a quick 2-3 miles and just to be outside because the gym it doesn't exactly it's not outside, right? So we want to get outside as much as possible. I think as cross country runners and getting outside, whether it's on a track in the neighborhood, just a run, remaining consistent, doing ab workouts and routines like that was super important for me for the off season.
Well, talking about the exercises and workouts, do you feel like the ab core area is a big focus? What do you really try to dwell upon?
Like it's a lot of the abs and core focus because I realize me personally when I'm running, one of the first things that have ever like started to give me like the most drag or burnout are my abs, especially in the core after 3 miles in a 5 mile race of intense running up and down hills, trying to catch up to people, trying to maintain pace. It's always my abs that end up going first. So focusing on my abs was a massive focal point for me in the off season.
What are the goals and expectations you have this year?
So this year, obviously, I think with almost any athlete, they're looking to get better and just to improve, cut the times down a little bit. But especially one thing that ended up being a problem for me last year was maintaining composure in times where things could have been hard. I come in as a first time runner, the courses are hilly, the runners are fast. And that's not to say, I'm not a little fast, but it can be underwhelming sometimes when, you just have so many good guys out there running and you don't run the race that you want to race. But maintaining composure has always been a struggle for me. And I think it showed a little bit last season in these races. And this year, I really want to just be more comfortable, confident, and assertive with my composure and my performance and kind of take the outcomes and turn it into something where I can improve or work on or realize like this went really well, this went really bad. What do I need to do moving forward? Because there's always a next race moving forward.
What is your favorite course a year into your cross country career?
A year into my cross country career, my favorite course has to probably be La Roche. I like La Roche a lot. Super, it's very up and downhill, flat too, which is nice. I think it's definitely a speed oriented course a little bit. There is a hill, and you do hit it pretty fast a couple times, but like I said, very flat at some parts, requires a lot of speed. And I think it's a fun course. We ran it in a little bit of sloppy conditions last year, but either way, it was a super fun time, and I like it because my mom was able to see me like run around. It's a very open course where you can see the runners the most. I feel like so very nice course for my mom to come to and watch me at.
Do you have any superstitions or rituals when you run?
Always, always mandatory. Bring my headphones, listen to good music. I always need some good music right before I run, or else it's even when I'm running and practicing, always listening to some good music. Whatever the vibe is, I listen to all kind of music. So I play, music on the bus ride there, when I'm warming up, all the way down to where I have to like I can take my headphones off and then I have to go to the start line. I will listen to music through and thorough before a race.
Lastly, what's the best part of attending Carlow?
It's a small school, and for that, it's because it's small. You get a lot of attention here. You get a lot of recognition, and the people really care about you. I feel like at some of these bigger institutions, sometimes you get lost amongst the students. And as someone who wants to be a teacher, having that teacher-student relationship where you're acknowledged, you're seen, is really important, and people know you by name. It's a nice environment here for that.
Well, really good stuff, Quincy.
Yeah,
Enjoyed
thank
talking
you.
to you quite a bit. Hope you have a terrific season.
Thank you so much.
That is Quincy Fana, a junior for the Celtics, here on the season preview.